So this is going unedited, unscripted kind of podcast video we are trying here. And in this video, I'm going to read out and we are going to study together building construction and material. I'm reading off some points from a textbook, let's say reference book, and we will try to make as much as sense possible as if we are going through this subject for the very first time. So, introduction to building construction and material. So the general section of this reference says man requires different types of building for his activities. Yes, for his residence, all right, and other activities, cooking, sleeping, and everything else that a man and a woman does in the house in his residence. Okay, and these residential things include houses, bungalows, and flats for his living, hospital, healthcare for his health, right? School, colleges, and universities for his education, all right. Then he needs banks, shops, offices, and other building, factories for doing work, okay. Railway building, bus station, air terminal, that is airport, right, for communication and transportation. Then for the purpose of worship, he requires temples, mosques, churches, etc. Then each type of the above building has its own requirement. Yes, means with respect to the type of activity, with respect to the purpose of the building, with respect to the motto for which the person is going to that building, they do possess some necessity, they do require some requirement, okay. All these buildings are important indicator of country's social progress. Yes, the number of industries, the number of banks, the number of shops, the number of factories, the number of bungalows and residences, all these are the indicators of a country's social progress, okay, all right. Then the next part is saying house, bungalows, flats, huts, etc. provide shelter to man, all right. One of the basic need of man is shelter, along with food, cloth, and shelter. Yes, we should take pride that we are responsible for creating the third basic need of man, that is civil engineering is dealing with the third need, that is shelter, other than food and cloth, okay. The first hut with bamboos and leaves can be taken as the first civil engineering construction carried out to satisfy the need for a shelter, okay. Means let's say in stone age, the hut which was made up with bamboo and leaves can be taken as the first residential structure, okay. Before that, the caves were his early abode. Yes, when we said stone age, the caves were the place of residence for a man. Then the history of development of housing facilities reveal that man has been modeling his environment throughout the ages for comfortable living. Yes, with respect to progression, with respect to the progress of science and technology and all these things, we have been incorporating new methodology or new technologies or new means of living in the residential structure, or let's say any structure. Then Egyptians constructed huge pyramid. Yes, that's something like wonder of the world. Yes, pyramids are wonder of world because we cannot imagine how those huge rocks and huge units of construction were carried, and they were arranged and they were designed to make up that monumental structure like pyramid of Giza and all those pyramids in Egypt. Yes, then the Greeks developed a style of proportions of building elements. These proportions are known as order of architecture, okay. The order of architecture comes from Greek. Romans developed arches for walls and domes. They used pozzolana, sand, mortar, plaster, and concrete. During the Gothic period of architecture that ranges back to 1100 to 1500 AD, churches with pointed arches and the ribs supporting masonry walls were constructed. Okay, the arch ribs were supported by stone pillars strengthened by buttresses. This structure led to the idea of frame structure. Okay, means the format we do consider like a frame structure, composite structure, and the load bearing structure. The idea of frame structure is coming from Roman Gothic period. Okay, then the period from 1750 AD onward is known as period of modern architecture. Due to economic pressure after the war and due to industrial development, many new methods and materials of construction were developed. Okay, means as the origin of engineering says that civil engineering was separated from military engineering, and then it rose as a separate engineering branch. Okay, first all the technology was developed in military engineering, then for civil purposes, for all civil engineering projects, civil engineering was separated out from military engineering, and then it grew. Okay, the use of reinforced concrete construction triggered the rapid development of modern architecture. Alright, functional structural components such as column, churchyards, canopies, RCC slab became increasingly popular because of the increased speed in construction. Okay, use of plywood, glass, decoratives, etc. help the designer to make new structure look more elegant. Yes, means when we are talking about modern structure, it is not just combination of column, beams and slab. It also comprises of other materials such as glass is there, and other decoratives, other materials such as PVC is there. All these material come together and make up a structure that we call as the modern building or modern architecture. Then the building design has traditionally been the responsibility of the architect, though the building construction has been the responsibility of civil engineering. Okay, design goes to architect, means architecture takes care of design of the building. Then construction, the actual process of physically erecting all these components of the building, is role, or let's say the responsibility of the branch civil engineering. Okay, civil engineering or civil engineer is going to take care of the construction process, while design, how is going to look, how it's going to appear, is taken care by the architect or the architecture branch. Then also the structural design of the building are responsibility of a civil engineer, right? On a small project, a civil engineer may sometimes be entrusted with the architectural design work along with structural design. Means the role of architect can also be played by civil engineer along with his main responsibility of structural design. The main consideration in architectural design of building for all purposes are as follow: climate and its effect. Second is people and their requirement. Third one, material for construction and method of construction. Fourth one, regulation and bylaws of sanctioning authority. Means while we are going for construction of a structure, we have to look into these four main things. Means first one, let's try to elaborate, let's try to shed some light over this. Climate and its effect means what kind of climatology, what kind of weather, what kind of area you are going to live in. If it is cold, then the construction means the construction method, the construction process, the construction culture needs to get along with the climate, that is weather. Then people and their requirement, class of people, their budgeting, the culture of the people also affect what kind of construction the civil engineering has to do. Then people and their requirement is over. Then material for construction and method of construction. See, material availability is also another concern while we are designing, while we are planning a structure, because the kind of metal, if in case timber is very abundantly available in some area and the area is cold, then the preferable way of construction is in timber. If it is tropical country, then the type of roof, then the walls and all the design aspect of the building go along with the weather condition and climatological condition. Then regulations and bylaws of sanctioning authority means the sanctioning authority that is going to pass the design, that is going to pass the proposal of the building, also do play a major role what kind of structure are going to be there in that vicinity, in that area. So now we are here at second topic of the first chapter of building construction and material, that is types of building. So specifically when we are talking about India, the National Building Code of India SP 7 1970 has defined that building is any structure for whatsoever purpose and of whatsoever material constructed and every part thereof, whether used as human habitation or not, and includes foundation, plinth, walls, floor, roofs, chimneys, plumbing and building services, fixed platform, veranda, balcony, cornice or projection, part of a building or anything affixed thereto, or any wall enclosing or intended to enclose any land or space and sign and outdoor display structure. That's long. That's too long. Okay. This is the definition of National Building Code of India for a building. Now let's try to break it down. It is defining building as any structure for whatsoever purpose and whatsoever material constructed. Means let's take any structure which is made up of some material and it is going to serve some purpose. Okay. And the next part, and every part thereof whether used as human habitation or not, means not necessary that human is going to use that part or not. Okay. Then includes foundation, plinth, walls, floor, roofs, chimneys, plumbing and building services, fixed platform, veranda, balcony, cornice or projection. Means we were talking about the components or various parts of a building that can be included in that specific structure that the NBC is calling as building. Part of building or anything affixed thereto, or any wall enclosing or intended to enclose any land or space and signs and outdoor display structure. Means if the building, or if not building, if the structure is enclosing wall and outside land or vicinity of that land, inside or outside the structure, then we are going to call that specific arrangement of all these components as a building. Okay. Then according to National Building Code of India 1970, buildings are classified based on occupancy as follow. See, NBC India SP7 1970 is saying that it has some codes for building type, and the codes are as group A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H and J. Okay, once again, NBC has classified the buildings into groups which are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, J. I is not included. Okay, I is not a type of building that is included in NBC SP 1970. Now let's see what group A, group B, group C comprise of. See, group A comprises of residential building. Then group B comprises of educational building. Okay. Group C consists of comprise of institutional building. Group D comprises of assembly building. Group E means business building. Group F means mercantile building. Group G means industrial building. Group H means storage building. Group J means hazardous building. Now let's come to each group and let's see how they have been subgrouped and how each group or subgroup consists of the specific titles of the building we just read: residential, educational, storage, hazardous. And let's try to understand what each group is saying. So we are at the first group, which is group A, residential building. Okay, and by definition it is those building in which sleeping accommodation is provided for normal residential purpose with or without cooking or dining or both facilities, except any building classified under category C. Buildings of group A are further subdivided as follow. Means when we just said group A consists of residential building, we are trying to say that the normal human purposes, which are eating and sleeping, okay, eat, sleep, repeat, all these things can be done under group A building, and group A building are then subdivided into A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Okay, means group A already it is residential building group. Then the residential building group is then subdivided into 5 subgroup or subdivision. Now let's see what each subdivision is saying. Subdivision A1, lodging or rooming houses. Okay, lodging and rooming or rooming houses. Now what lodging and rooming houses exactly is? These include any building or group of building under the same management. Okay, one management body will be handling all these rooms and lodging rooms, which separate sleeping accommodation for a total of not more than 15 person on either transient or permanent basis. Okay, means either on temporary or on permanent basis. The rental provision for room can be given in subdivision A1. Okay, a lodging or rooming house is classified as a dwelling in subdivision A2 if no room in any of its private dwelling unit is rented to more than 3%. Okay, now A1 and A2 have been separated by this small difference. Now let's talk about subdivision A2. One or two family private dwelling. Okay, this subdivision A2 talks about a bungalow or a small house that accommodates person from the same family. Okay, and when we are talking about subdivision A2, we are talking about small bungalow or house that involve accommodation, sleeping, cooking and dining of members belonging to one group. That is, we call it as family. Okay, now let's go to subdivision A3, dormitories. Now, dormitories are building in which sleeping accommodation is provided with or without dining facility for a person who are not member of the same family. In any one room or series of closely associated room under joint occupancy and single management. Okay, school and college dormitories. If you have seen Harry Potter movie, then there is a dormitory in which students from one house, okay, Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff is there, right? All these students from one group do have their sleeping accommodation in one common hall, and they do not belong to one single family but one single group, let's say, and the group may be that specific school house or school club or college club or university club, it may be. Okay, then subdivision A4, apartment houses or let's say flats. Okay, multi-story buildings are there, and these multi-story buildings are then divided with a unit block in which family members, that is several members belonging to one specific with one specific relation may live over there, and the examples are apartment houses, mansions and chawls. Okay, and these apartment houses can be given to several families, means one single building can hold, let's say, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 families. Each flat will accommodate one single family. All right, then subdivision A5, hotel. Hotel is a building or group of building under single management in which sleeping accommodation with or without dining facility is provided for hire, means it is rented to not okay to more than 15% who are primarily transient, means it is directly provided on rental or transient basis only. It is not a permanent mode of accommodation. Okay, it is temporary. Now we are at group B, that is educational building. Okay, educational building means the building which is used for school or college or daycare purpose for more than 8 hours per week, involving assembly for instruction, education or recreation, which is not covered by group D. Okay, we are talking about one group, and since there might be some similarities between two groups, that's why we are clarifying some specific purpose here. That is, when we are talking about educational building, we mention the purpose, which is instruction, education or recreation. Okay, then we are at group C. Okay, what group B building include? Group B building includes school, let's say nurseries or kindergartens and daycare purpose centers, and they do involve working time more than 8 hours per week. Okay, then now we are at group C, institutional building. Okay, these include any building or part thereof which is used for purpose such as medical or other treatment or care of persons suffering from physical or mental illness, disease or infirmity. Means these are the building where let's say freedom of the person that are going to get accommodated over there is sometimes restricted, their mobility is sometimes restricted, they are taken care by some expert, let's say doctors or judicial person or custody persons, and these type of building include hospital, then sanitaria, custodial institution, penal institutions. Okay. Now these group C building have been subdivided into C1, C2 and C3, where these subdivisions are classified wholly on what purpose exactly those group C building are serving. Okay. The purpose may be care of infant or care of old age people, or it may be for penal or correctional detention. Okay. Now let's see what C1, C2 and C3 subdivisions are saying. Subdivision C1, hospital and sanitaria. The subdivision include any building or group of building under single management. Okay, this specific statement is common. Means in case the number of rooms or the number of structural components, not structural component, number of rooms or number of let's say blocks are more, then single management is responsible for handling all those things. Okay, we did not see management in let's say subdivision where family private dwelling or apartment houses were there. When we are talking about hotel or educational building or dormitories or college or university, there was a management that used to take care of all this facility. Okay, subdivision C1, hospital and sanitaria. Any building or group of building under single management which is used for housing persons suffering from physical limitation because of health or age. For example, hospital, infirmary, sanitaria and clinic. See, in case some old people or people suffering from mental or physical illness are provided accommodation where they are taken care of, they are given proper medical attention, they are served in order to make their condition better, then that kind of subdivision, that kind of group is group C and the subdivision is C1, hospital and sanitaria. Then let's talk about subdivision C2, which is custodial institution. See, the name is suggesting custodial institution. Custody of the person is taken. For example, whose custody you are going to take? Small children, not small children, children are already small. Children, then aged people or people suffering from some mental illness may be taken custody by some management and they may be taken care of by the expert. Okay. By definition, this subdivision includes any building or group of building under single management which is used for the custody of and care of persons such as children, convalescent and the age. For example, they have provided examples which is old age home and orphanages, right? At old age home, people who are totally dependent on other for their day-to-day activities are taken into custody by custodial institution. Then orphanages, the orphan kids are sent to orphanages so that they can be taken care of by some expert. Then let's go to subdivision C3, which is penal institution. Okay, the subdivision includes any building or a group of building under single management which is used for housing person under restraint or who are detained for penal or corrective purpose. Means anybody who is given punishment by the law are given to penal institution for their custody, where their liberty, their rights are kind of, let's say, restricted. They're not given that much of freedom as a common man which is going which is outside, which is in society has. Okay, and the examples are jails, prison, mental hospital, mental sanitaria and reformatories. Okay, reformatories are for let's say underage let's say children, means they cannot be put to jail but they are given to reformatories so that they can see some change in their behavior, they can kind of see betterment in them. Okay, then we are at group D, assembly building, as the name is suggesting, where a large number of people might be gathering for some specific activity may be called as assembly building. And yes, we are correct. The building or any part of building where group of people congregate or gather, means gather together for amusement, recreation, social, religious, patriotic, civil, travel and similar purpose. And the examples are theater, movie theater, motion picture houses, assembly hall, auditorium, exhibition hall, museum, skating rinks, gymnasium, restaurant, place of worship, dance hall, and okay, let me turn the page. clubhouses, passenger station and terminal of air, surface and marine public transportation. All are considered in this group D. Now we are at subdivision. See, subdivision D1 is here, D2 is here, D3 is here, D4 is here and D5 here. Okay. Subdivision, 5 subdivisions are there for group D. Now let's talk about subdivision D1. This subdivision includes any building primarily meant for theatrical or operatic performance. Okay, operatic performance and exhibition, and which has, okay, now we are reading some additional amenities that have been provided in subdivision D1 that separates it from other subdivision, that is D2, D3, D4 and D5. Raised stage should be there. Proscenium curtain means the moving curtain should be there. Fixed or portable scenery should be there, or scenery, loft, light motion, picture booth, mechanical application with other theatrical accessories and equipment which is provided with fixed seat over 1,000 person. Means subdivision D1 has halls, or let's say motion picture theater, that has all these amenities such as raised stage, moving curtain, then light arrangement, then sound arrangement, then fixed seat and some mechanical moving components may be there, and it should consider providing accommodation, let's say temporary accommodation, that is seat for over 1,000 person. And when we are talking about D2, it is nothing but subdivision D1. Only difference is it can accommodate people less than 1,000 in number. Okay, subdivision D1 had all the amenities with light, sound, stage, but with capacity more than 1,000. Now this subdivision D2 has capacity less than 1,000 but with all these amenities. Okay, same but different with number of people they can accommodate, D1 and D2. Now let's talk about subdivision D3. Subdivision D3 is intended for gathering or assembly of people more than 300 people. Okay, and this subdivision D3 building include dance hall, nightclub, hall for incidental picture shows, dramatic, theatrical, educational presentation, lectures and other similar purpose. No raised platform is there, no permanent sitting arrangement is there. Okay, and they may be used for educational purpose for less than 8 hours per week. Means this subdivision D3 is different from D1 and D2 with respect to amenities and the facilities provided. They subdivision D3 building, they do not have this raised platform or sound arrangement or fixed seat arrangement. Okay, and now when we are talking about D4, it is just like D1, D2. Okay, D3 had capacity for, let's say, more than 300%. Now this D4 has all these specification but for less than 300%. Now what about subdivision D5? This subdivision includes any building meant for outdoor assembly of people not covered by subdivision D1 to D4. Okay, means whatever assembly building that were not considered under subdivision D1, D2, D3 and D4 are covered by D5. Okay, and the examples are grandstand, stadium, amusement park, reviving stand and circus tents. Okay, means we cannot say that the amenities and facilities and the capacity to accommodate number of people should be same, should be just like D1, D2, D3 and D4. That's why D5 has been separately classified or categorized here. Then we are at group E, fifth group E, business building. Okay, now let's talk about the technical definitional part. These include any building or part of building which is used for the transaction of business other than that covered by building in group F. Means we are going to see some similarity and some differences in between group E and group F that we are going to talk after we cover group E and F. Okay, so what the book says, these include any building or part of building which is used for the transaction of business other than that covered by building in group F for the keeping of accounts and record and similar purposes. And the example are doctors and dentists, then service facilities such as news stands, lunch counters serving less than 100 person, barber shops and beauty parlor. Okay, and what else building do this group E cover? City hall, town hall, courthouses and libraries should be classified in this group insofar as the principal function of this transaction of public business and the keeping of books and records. Okay, all this building that do keep track of the account of people that are going to visit that specific structure on, let's say, regular basis or let's say periodical basis is going to be covered under group E. Means record keeping is done in those building, in this kind of business building. Okay, means we can say banks are also business building because record keeping of account of the people having their account in those bank is kept and is maintained properly. Okay, now let's talk about group F, mercantile building. Now when we say mercantile building, means some kind of merchandise is either sold or let's say received over there, means monetary transaction may be taking place in this kind of building. Now let's see what the definition says. Okay, these include any building or part of building which is used as shops, yes, stores, yes, markets for display and sale of merchandise, either wholesale or retail. Okay, no matter if you are a retail seller or a wholesale seller or wholesale buyer or retail buyer, you are going to visit mercantile building for the sale or purchase of this merchandise. Offices, storage and service facilities incidental to sale of merchandise and located in the same building should be included in this group. See, even if it is office, but if it is dealing with sale or purchase of merchandise, should be considered in mercantile building. Not necessary that they are holding all the merchandise that is meant to be sold to someone. Then, minor merchandising operation in building primarily meant for other use should be covered by a group under which the predominant occupancy is classified. Then we are at group G building, and group G building consists of industrial building. Now this group G building include any building or part of building or structure which produces or keeps materials of all kind and properties which are fabricated or assembled or processed. For example, assembly plant, laboratories, dry cleaning plants, power plant, pumping station, smokehouse, gas plant, refineries, dairies and so on. See, as the examples were here, all these buildings that we saw either make up or produce some material or some product, or they process some product, or they carry out some kind of process, or they are involved with some kind of operation that make up the product for itself. That's why these buildings are considered in industrial building. All the industrial development sectors in your area should be considered under industrial building. Now let's talk about group H, storage building. See, all these buildings, business, mercantile, industrial, storage building, are somewhat related to each other, but they do have some specific purpose. Means business building will be there for keeping account of the sale and purchase. Mercantile building will be actually selling these items. Group G building, that is industrial building, will be making up these merchandises or product. And now here we are at, that is group H, storage building. They will be storing all these goods, all these material, so that they can be sold off to the retailer or the wholesale buyer or seller. Okay. Now these include any building or part of building used primarily for the storage or sheltering. Okay. Storage or sheltering means keeping them safe when they are in large quantity. Means sometimes cold storage may be required, sometimes air conditioned storage may be required. Okay. And this sheltering and storage include servicing, processing and repair incidental to storage. Mean in case the storage process itself has some kind of processing associated with it, then instead of keeping the building under as industrial building, we can say broadly the building is storage building, and some kind of process which is associated with storage process, then the building should be called as a storage building. Then the examples are transit sheds, storehouse, trucks and marine terminal garages, hangars, grain elevators, barns, stables and silos. Okay, all these warehouses, storehouses, these sheds that are going to accommodate some kind of merchandise, some kind of product. They are going to protect them, they are going to allow this product to be stored for a long duration of time without getting them damaged, without changing, without deteriorating their properties, their characteristic. These buildings are considered under storage building. Okay, then we are at group J building, that is hazardous building. See, these buildings are nothing but industrial and storage building, but the kind of nature of the product or the kind of nature of merchandise which is being kept in this building is sort of hazardous, means it is not suitable for open exposure to human or other living things. That's why we are specifically categorizing this group J building as hazardous building, and the definition is saying these include any building or part of a building which is used for the storage, handling, manufacture or processing of highly combustible. Okay, now we are at the specific properties that are separating out, that are dividing the common normal merchandise, common product, common material from this hazardous material. Now what are these properties of this hazardous material? It is highly combustible or explosive in nature. Okay, it is inflammable and kind of explosive in nature, and it has explosive property, or let's say poisonous property, or let's say irritating property or corrosive property. And the handling, the processing, the storage should be done in a very precise, in a very disciplined manner. That's why group J building, hazardous building are specifically designed for storing, processing and handling all this product. Okay, now there are some specification with respect to what kind of material and what kind of specific hazardous building, or let's say storage or processing building should be used. And the specific buildings are storage facilities that store gases such as ammonia, chlorine, phosgene, SO2, that is sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, methyl oxide, which are subjected to explosion. Okay, this is one kind of building that is going to store all these chemical or gases. Then storing and handling of hazardous and highly inflammable liquid. For liquid, the storage building will be a hazardous building with respect to specialties in handling of flammable, explosive kind of liquids. Then third type is storage and handling of hazardous and highly flammable or explosive material other than liquid. Means other than liquid, when we said, it may be powder, it may be a solid. Let's say firework industry have their fuel, okay, which is not in either gas or liquid material, but it is in a powdered mass. Okay, then manufacturing of artificial flowers, synthetic leather, ammunition, explosive and firework. This is some sort of other hazardous building. Okay, means we categorize the hazardous building not into subdivision but kind of types, which included explosive and hazardous liquids, explosive and hazardous gases, liquids, and then format other than gases and liquid. Okay, so what we saw in this discussion was we tried to understand firsthand the introductory part of building construction and material, and we saw why man needs shelter. Okay, how civil engineering is responsible for making up structure that we call as a building. Then what are the specification for having a building in a specific area, that were climate, people, culture, material, regulation. Then we saw what are the various types of building, and as given by NBC of India, that is National Building Code of India, SP 7 1970, and we saw several groups A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, not I, and J. So that was all for discussion. In next discussion, or let's say in next lecture, we are going to see components of a building. I hope you like this format. I tried this to be as much as unscripted. It was it was kind of unplanned lecture. Okay, so I will meet you in next one. Till then, take care. Bye bye.